Hi, welcome to TribeCast Bible Study. I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today we'll be studying Matthew chapter 9.
In chapter 9, Jesus returns to his own town by boat. Then he heals the paralyzed man and is accused of blaspheming by the teachers of the law. That is until they see that he actually did heal a paralyzed man, and everyone there was in awe. Then Jesus meets Matthew and tells Matthew to follow him, which Matthew does. On his way to raise a girl from the dead, a woman that had been sick for 12 years shows her faith, and Jesus heals her. Then Jesus raises the girl from the dead, and that news spreads like wildfire. More people ask to be healed by Jesus, and he heals the blind and the mute. And once again, the Pharisees accuse Jesus, this time for being the prince of demons. Then Jesus prepares his disciples to go out and heal, just as he had been doing. And that's what happens in chapter 9. So now we're going to talk about a bunch of the verses in chapter 9 that either spoke to us, or that we found really important, or that just kind of affected us on a daily basis, or that we're kind of confused by. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Yeah, okay, so I have verse 4 underlined. It says, but I'm going to start at verse 3 to put it in context. At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, "This fellow is blaspheming." Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts?" I think the reason I underlined it was just like a personal reminder to myself,
Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your head?
Not to, that is bad. Don't do it. Why would you do that? So yeah. I think that's the only reason I underlined it.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a lot of commentary on that. So
let's see. So chapter 8, or chapter 9, verse 8. When the crowd saw this, they were filled with awe, and they praised God, who had given such authority to man. I underline this because he had just been kicked out of wherever he was. They just said, "Hey, leave from this region." Remember that in chapter 8? And so now he's here and he performs this miracle, just as he performed another miracle over there. But over here, they're filled with awe, and over there they were scared of him. And he had already said before, Jesus had said before, he's going to say sometime, that a man
has no honor in his hometown.
That's what it is, yeah. A man has no honor in his hometown. But he's in his hometown because he just got there, And so those two things, I feel like I just highlighted because I thought it was important to note that. Let's see, the next thing that I had highlighted was 11. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, It's not the healthy who need the doctor, but the sick." I just highlighted that because I really like that ending little line. It's not the healthy who need the doctor, but the sick. Mm-hmm. Because in this scenario, Jesus would be the doctor, and he's with the tax collectors and the sinners. These are the people that most need him.
Yeah, I've always really loved that verse. It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick, because it just makes so much sense.
Just logically?
Yeah, I mean, a doctor wouldn't go around to the people that are super healthy. Or, he would check on them, but if there are sick people, it would make more sense for the doctor to go to the sick people and not, just to attend to the healthy people. Although it's important to check on their health too. So back to taking it out of the metaphor, it's of course he cares about the people who are spiritually healthy, or, but there are people who don't believe in him and who need him, and so it would make more sense for him to be with those people and not just to be with the healthy.
Well, the next thing he says is, "But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice." What does that mean to you?
To me, it means, so sacrificing is something that we do for God, because up to this point, Jesus hadn't died on the cross yet, and so they still had their old laws and stuff where they would sacrifice animals for their sins and stuff, and that was good because God told them to do it, so it's not they were doing something wrong by doing that. Yeah. But Jesus says, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice," and I think mercy really ties into loving your brothers and sisters, or loving your fellow human beings. And so, later in the Bible, he says that love is the greatest thing of all, out of like faith, hope, and love. And so to me, what that verse means is I desire for you to love the people around you more than just to like follow the rules that like you've been given. Like, even though that's good to do, it's more important to love, because that's the greatest thing of all. And then,
doesn't he say at some point that that's his command? He's like, go out and love.
Yeah, I think that comes later in Matthew. Yeah, that's what that means to me. Did you have anything else with that?
I think I read that more in a do things for the right reason type of way. Like, sacrifice seems a little bit more for you. Like, I'm sacrificing something now. I've like kind of shed some like weight off of my guilt or something like that, as opposed to mercy, where it's like you're actually having to tangibly commit an action to, like show your faith and show that you can forgive and you can do what Jesus is so good at doing. Do you get what I'm saying? Instead of like sacrifice, where it's just like, well, I can sacrifice this lamb and like I can feel good now. Like, sure, you cared about the lamb. It was your most prized one, and you transferred all your like sins to it, and then you like killed it, and that's how you're like, maybe it's like an ushering in of the new, because that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna sacrifice himself to get rid of everyone else's need to sacrifice, abstractly like that. Maybe this is like a
like him saying that, like, that's
foreshadow.
You're not even gonna need to do that anymore.
I mean, it kind of is a foreshadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the only thing that it is, obviously.
Right.
But.
Okay, I think I have one more thought, if I can put it into words. I mean, it kind of ties into what I was saying before, but I think my way of tying it in is like, maybe not that you need to like go out and change them, but that you need to just like go meet them where they're at and like love them. I don't know.
Interesting.
But that is one possible interpretation.
Yeah.
But I also like what you said.
Yeah. It's important to note that, for one, what is Jesus doing right here? But go and learn what this means. He's not telling us anything. Like, he's not giving us any answers.
That's true.
He's saying, go out and figure this out. So, like, what's happening right now? We're following what he's saying right now. We're trying to figure this out. And that's how Jesus is to begin with. He's just incredibly complex and incredibly, what's the word that I like to use? Cryptic? Yeah, that's how he is, because you have to work for the meaning in his words.
Yeah, and I think that the more you, like, go and do this, like,
the more you search for meaning in his words?
Yeah, and like, especially like with this particular situation, like when they go out and like are merciful to people, I feel like that's when you can understand more what he's trying to say, even. Gotcha.
When you put that into action, you can really begin to go and learn what that means.
Because, I feel like for me, the Bible means, as I like have more experiences and like grow in my relationship with God, it means different things to me. Like, I could read one verse at one point and then time will go by and then I'll read it again and it'll mean something different to me because I've had different experiences. And I feel like, God shows me different things over time. So kind of the same with this.
Very good. Let's see. And now I think we can move on.
Yes.
To 14. Jesus' question about fasting. I highlighted most of 14 through 18. That's a whole big little. Let's get to it. Then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we, the Pharisees, fast? We and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples don't fast?" Jesus answered, "How can the guest and the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, then they will fast." Let's see. And then a continuation of that on 16. "No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. So just what we're talking about. Speaking in code again.
Yeah, verse 16 through, 18?
17.
16 and 17 have always, or for a long time, I've been kind of confused about those. I feel like 15 makes sense to me. Jesus being the bridegroom, and like us being the disciples being the guests, like, makes sense that they wouldn't need to like fast or do that kind of stuff while Jesus is with them. But then when he leaves, like that's when fasting becomes more important, just to like for that, I guess, spiritual connection, or I don't know. Yeah,
to like to commit an act of faith.
Yeah.
Right, to just show your ongoing, I guess, like allegiance or faith to God, that you're not forgetting about him just because he's gone now or he's out of sight.
But not only like, I think fasting isn't only like to like show something, but also to experience something. Like I feel like in the times that I've done that, I grow closer to God. I think it's like a way to like reach out and to like let God, I don't know.
That's interesting. Like all of my experience with fasting has been before I really started practicing my faith. So I used to fast a ton, and it was really good for me to as an artist, like try to like bring out ideas. It was really good for me to start like replenishing myself kind of spiritually and centering myself. Like those were the good things about fasting for me. And I haven't fasted since then, or since I've started really like getting deeper into my faith. So maybe if I do try that, maybe something different will come of it. But that's interesting that you say that it brings you closer to your faith. Or how'd you characterize it?
I don't remember what I said, but okay. A way to like experience something instead of just a way to show something. Like, like it, for me, it like shows me my dependence on God first off. Every time I'm hungry, it makes me think about God, and I'm hungry very often. And so, and I don't know, it's just a way for me to reach out to God is another thing that I said. It's like me doing something. It's, it's an act that I can take, to reach out to God.
Interesting.
So yeah, but
I'll have to try it.
So I think 15 makes sense.
Okay.
16 and 17 is where I always get tripped up.
No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth to an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. So that's a very visual thing. You sew a patch onto it, and then eventually it'll shrink, and then just like bring everything with it. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the wineskins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. So no, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and they're both preserved. I think that's the important part. Pouring new wine into new wineskins. So when you strip away the metaphor, what is the new wine and what is the new wineskins?
So at first I thought, because I wrote something down about old and new traditions in here, but the thought just occurred to me that maybe like it's talking about old covenant and new covenant. So like, sacrificing animals and that kind of stuff, like each person is is held accountable for their sins, is the old covenant. And then new covenant, Jesus came and died for us, and if you accept that, then he has paid the penalty for your sin. And so maybe that's what this is talking about, the old and new. I don't know what would be what, if the old wineskin, maybe that would be the old covenant. And the new wine would be like the I don't know, like the way that you live, like if you're still living by the old covenant. I don't know, I'm kind of making this up as I go.
It's
but,
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts?
No.
This is something I definitely like to explore.
Let's just ask
further.
Jatine about that.
Yeah.
Write it down, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. Like, we don't need to have all the answers. We're trying to figure this out just as much as you guys are. So, let's see. The next thing I
I
have...
wonder if I'm even close.
Hopefully you are. That'd be really cool. Let's see. The next thing is in the Jesus raises a dead girl and heals a sick woman part. I have 21 underlined. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." And then 23, Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed at that moment. Let's see. Well, she's sick and she just wants to touch Jesus' cloak. And she does get to touch it. Or no.
Or
I don't know that she actually does touch it. She just wants to touch it. And she's thinking to herself, if I can only touch it, I'll be healed. And he turns around and he's like, boom, I know what you're thinking. And yes, that would have healed you because of the faith, the act of faith behind it.
oh, she did touch his cloak.
Oh, never mind then. Yeah.
But it's because she believed that, like, just touching his cloak, like, she wasn't even trying to get his attention or anything. She was just trying to touch him.
Mm-hmm.
Or touch his cloak, not even, like, his skin or something.
And just because she believed that doing that would heal her, right? And that's important because, like, what's that thing about moving mountains? Something moves mountains.
If you have, like, faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains or something like that.
That's not where I was going with it, but see, that's perfect.
Something like that, I think.
Yeah, because faith is very different from belief or from, like, knowing or knowledge or something like that. It's
certainty.
Yeah, it's very different, and faith in something, it's a much more abstract concept, and it can give you so much inner strength to do things that you didn't even know you could do, or that you didn't even believe were possible. And I think that's one of the important things behind faith. I'm just pulling this out of nowhere, but it's just what I can muster up, you know?
Sounds right to me.
Anyway, moving on. 29 is what I highlighted next. Do you have anything in between there?
Mm-mm.
All right. Then he touched their eyes and said, "According to your faith, let it be done." And their sight was restored. Jesus warned them sternly, "See that no one knows about this." I like that pun right there. See that no one knows about this. Let's see. But they went out and spread the news about him all over that region. What happened after that? While they were going out, a man who was demon-possessed and could not talk was brought to Jesus. So why did they disobey Jesus, even though he just cured them of their blindness?
I don't know. But it's interesting that, like, after both of the events, like, it's just, you know, like, something that people have to share about, which I think is a cool parallel to, like, what it should be like for us. Because if you, like, have seen something this amazing, like, how can you not just tell people about it? Like, I have not even amazing things happen to me, and I still want to tell people about them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they served chicken nuggets in the cafeteria today. Like, it was awesome. And so I can only imagine if it's like Jesus made me see when I was blind. Like, I don't think I could not tell people about that either. So.
Yeah. Maybe that's a lesson, that is to say, even if you feel like Jesus doesn't want you to tell anybody about it, you still should.
No, I don't think it's to disobey Jesus.
Are you sure?
I don't think
I'm just like...
I don't think that's it, but...
I guess it just shows how much people want to, like, when acts of faith do happen, just how powerful they are, that people just have this, like, ravenous need to go and spread the word, which is, it's pretty, makes sense, you know, like, all the stuff that's happened to me, and then look at me, like a difference between me a couple of years ago and me now, right? Now we're like doing a podcast trying to like help people out and stuff, and Bible study, just because like I find a lot of truth in the words, and so like why wouldn't I, you know,
want to share it with people?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And if you look at social media, I mean, a lot of this stuff isn't even like religious or anything at all, but you know, it's like something amazing happens and people want to share it. You know, I see videos every single day of like, look at this amazing thing that happened, you know, look at this, look at that. And so it's like when things happen, people just want to tell about it. And so why would we not want to tell people about Jesus?
Yep. And then the last thing that I have, if you have nothing else, the last thing that I have for Matthew 9 and 35 is that whole paragraph. I have it highlighted in green. Half of it is in light green. Then the latter half of it is in dark green. See, so Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." Yeah, and so what that means to me is that like there's so much more need out there than there is people who are out there trying to do good, to like rein people in, rein in the sheep, you know, the one sheep in the 99 who's lost, or trying to bring people out of the darkness that they're in. There's a lot more work to be done than there is people doing work, which is why right here Jesus is preparing his disciples to like go out. He's giving them authority to go out and heal, so that a lot more healing can be done, which is pretty much what Jesus, or at least like what churches try to do, at least, you know, you get what I'm saying?
What do churches try to do?
Like try to prepare people to like go out there and like spread more good.
For sure.
Right? It's not just about coming in, bringing in people and trying to like build a community and like be really stable under Jesus. That's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about doing that in the hopes that some people will come in and feel such passion for Christ that they will like then leave the church and go out to try to spread knowledge of Christ somewhere else, or try to help people otherwise. Like people go to like Montenegro, or like they'll move to China or something to try to start a church there, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's what I think he's saying here.
I completely agree.
Yeah? Cool. Anything else you want to add to the end of that?
Not really. I thought you said it well. So,
Well,
I got nothing else.
there you go. I redeemed myself from earlier then. There you go. All right, well, we're trying to make these podcasts a little bit shorter, just a little bit more digestible, so we're trying to stick to like one book, see how that goes. I know towards the beginning we got like one chapter. Yeah, we're trying to cover a whole book in the span of one video. But yeah, we'll try to get these a little bit shorter, more digestible for you guys. Again, if you guys have any questions, you can just put them in the comment section. We'll look through those and see if there's anything that we can answer. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for watching.
Oh man, I forgot. Thanks for watching.
There you go. I don't tell her to do that, guys. She did it on her own the first 2 times, okay?
Oh, from here.
Boom.